Have you ever been hacking on an application or a company's infrastructure and you saw something like this right here, or maybe just some random default page, or just a page that says test or welcome, or something of that essence where you don't have a clue with what to do with this application? Well, hopefully in this video, I can give you a good plan on how to A, approach those targets, and B, how to approach them in the future and have a plan on monitoring them using some of their open source tools that are available. The first thing that I do want to talk about is that just because an application is showing a 404 or a Nginx default page doesn't mean that it has nothing on there. It just means that you have to look for it harder. But there are times when an application or a domain comes up, they put Nginx behind it and it just sits there for a few days. And if you're not monitoring it, then those assets are going to be useless to you. So hopefully in this video, I give you a way to exactly do that and monitor it for changes. Before we do that, we got to talk about a couple of tools we need. One is we need to understand how ANU works. If you're not familiar with ANU, I did a video on this last week where we use ANU, Notify, and Subfinder to create an asset discovery system where it notifies us every time a new subdomain or a domain is discovered. Go watch that video, but in short, ANU just looks for changes between two files or maybe your scan and your data that you have. And if there's a new entry within that new scan, it just tells you what that new entry is. So again, if you're doing two scans and a domain didn't exist in your last scan and you use ANU, it pipes it out into your screen or into the other tools that you are using on top of it. And the next thing we want to use is Notify. That's also an open source project by Project Discovery that allows you to create a notification system to send it to your Slack, Discord, Signal, whatever one you want to use. I use Discord for this case, but I just want to make sure you know those are the tools that we need. All right, let's jump into it and look at our infrastructure and what it looks like. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to look at these domains that we have. We have a bunch of these domains right here that I have created an infrastructure for this example. And what we're going to do is we're just going to run this domain through HTTPX. And what we're going to ask HTTPX to do is we're going to ask it to grab the content size, or sorry, the content length, the content, the status code of that page, whether it's a 200 and 404. I think those are interesting to look for. And then the location and the title. The reason why I'm grabbing the content length, let's just say a page has a test on there, just says test, and later it changes to a whole application. We want to monitor how big that page was between each of our scans. So let's do this really quickly. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, ANU, I want you to write this to HTTPX. Obviously, this file that I have in here is empty. So doing ANU right now, it's going to write all of them into this file. And it's going to say, hey, I have found no actual results for this thing. So what we're going to do is, I think I may probably have an HTTPX. Let me remove it just in case I have one. And then we're going to run it one more time. And now we can see it's coming back and it's saying, hey, I have found these three right here. And if we go to one of them right now, you can see this one, for example, app has a welcome to Nginx. But now you can see the content length is 615, 102, 102 for these two. And then it also has a title that says welcome, hello world, and so on. But what happens if that list that we have, actually the infrastructure or whoever is in charge of the infrastructure spins up a new asset? So we're going to rerun this test. Let's say I ran this test yesterday. I had them written to a file, and then today's a new day. Maybe it's like 2 days from now, I'd run it again. And if we run this right away, we can see that there is a new asset right here that says, hey, dashboard is up now. And if we open up HTTPX, it will have all four of them, including dashboard, because it just added that to the list. But this is a cool way for us to monitor these assets. I'm going to talk about how to actually monitor these later using Notify, but this is a really good way for us to monitor as assets come up, and we can use something like Notify to notify us as soon as this has been created. So now what if one of these domains that we had in this file now had a change to it? Maybe one of them that had an Nginx page, for example, has now changed and had something new come up. So what we're going to do again is we're going to run the same test again, and we're going to hope that it's going to find something new. And as you can see, app has changed now. And if I look at HTTPX, we can see that app used to have 615 characters and say, welcome to Nginx. But now suddenly we see 79 characters in there and there is no title. So that indicates that something has changed. And we want to be the first to see this to be able to hack on it and find vulnerability. So now let's say you wanted to create this with Notify and you wanted to notify you of every time this thing happens. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at our bot that we have here. This is what we used last time in the last video to create a subsystem for our asset discovery. What we're going to do this time is we're going to change this to something that's going to be different. Instead of doing sublister, what we're going to do is we're going to use the same exact command that we had here, which is our cat domain and running into HTTPX. And obviously you can do this with any other tool, but I'm just using it, this time for the sake of this video. And we're going to run this and we're going to say, hey, I want you to do this every minute. This is a little bit of a extreme case, but for the sake of this video, I'm actually going to do 30 seconds. So if a change goes through within 30 seconds or 15 seconds, we can see that change. But you can put that as anything. Remember, this is in seconds. So every 15 seconds, it's going to rerun this command. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed this to notify. And we're going to let it run and see where it goes. What we're going to do is we're going to run this. And if you remember from the last week's video, if we look at our Discord right here, we have created this HackerOne test. And hopefully all the changes that we create into this, it's going to go right into that Discord page. And we get to see all of the changes as we speak. So now it's running. It's going to run every 15 seconds. And so far there aren't any changes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my other server really quickly. I'm going to change this index.php that I have. Obviously I control this infrastructure. So sometimes it may take longer. I'm just going to put something like H1 welcome Nahomi's. And we're going to just make sure no change has been taken. I'm going to save it. And we're going to give it about 15 seconds to see if a new change is going to be detected and if it's going to push this into our Discord channel as well. So we can see it's running it again. And right off the bat, you can see it just found that app.hackedwithnahamsec.com has changed and is sending it to us as a brand new result into our Discord channel. So I think this is a really good way to be able to monitor assets and be able to be the first to notify of yourself of any changes, whether it could be a few character, maybe they just added something new to the JavaScript file, for example. It's a really, really good place to be able to just grab information and make sure you're notified of these changes in case you want to hack on this particular bug bounty program or asset. All right, that's it. Let me know what you think of this video. Do you want to see more contents like this? What else do you want to see when it comes down to hacking and just asset discovery and monitoring? And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notification bells so every Monday you get notified when I post a new video. All right, that's it. See you all next week in Monday's video. Peace.